morning to all of the honorable judges and everyone who's watching. My name is Zaimatul and I came from the Kabupaten Rembang. I stand here today firmly as the first speaker of the proponent team during the motion. This House requests the clarification of resilience, which our side completely support the motion. Ladies and gentlemen, glorification of resilience is an act of neglecting perspective towards a human being that we forget to think about their struggles. If we glorify an individual for more often, we lack of humanity and ability to have sympathy towards them who need the help. When someone struggles with something, we don't just give them a praise for being tough, for being able to keep fighting for themselves despite their problems in real life, but we give them the help, the sympathy. We felt an empathy towards them rather than just exalting them because of their problem in real life. First layer of analysis. When we glorify them for resilience, we forget about the basic humanity system that we should have provided in the first place. We lack of the ability to support them instead of supporting. We ensure them that their struggle is still present and that they can still handle it by themselves. Think about a child who's surviving by himself without the help of his parents because they died or divorced. The first thing that comes to people's mind is that how strong he is, that how is he is able to stand up by himself. This proves that people who forgetfully focus on his ability to survive but not his problem that should have never been exist in the first place. Second layer of analysis. A resilience is a plural condition that should be supported. They have a real attention to pull the ability of someone to feel sympathy so that it somehow would send the help for them. This is the system of resilience that to gain the attention and support them forward them to provide them with the help that they actually needed. However, if we continue to glorify this resilience, we forget the purpose of our presence here, to ensure and to help those who actually need it. Moving on to my arguments, here's why our side completely supports the motion. Firstly, glorification lacks the human's ability to perceive and record the real issue. When resilience be glorified, the focus shifts from the actual problem into the act of the human who endures the problem. If someone is struggling at any level, people often think about how or what they do to survive, instead of addressing the real problem that caused it. People who starve to death work their feet from miles to miles just to find a job, and the society would still focus on their struggle. It was a condition where we praised their endurance system and forgot to generalize the problem that caused it. We make their suffering feel heroic and brave, whereas that their struggle is needed to be stopped immediately. Why do we need to address the real issue instead of just praising them? Let's take a look at the case of poverty, because in order to support a poverty level percentage from increasing, we have to install the basic economic growth that can be provided by subsidies for the poor, open another sector of manufacturing fields to expand the job fields so that the poor could have a chance for a better life. Furthermore, if we continue to see poverty as a mere state story and treat them as a hero without solving the actual issue, we are not trying to erase it. We are trying to expand the poverty level itself. This is also applies to the resilience because poverty is part of it. The public needs to address the real issue and solving it in order to prevent another issue from coming more. Secondly, glorification of resilience makes it harder for them to struggle to get the help that they actually needed. As I have already explained before, when we glorified our resilience, the society forgot to think about the impact and instead shifts the focus into the heroic act of surviving. What would happen then? The real impact first. The struggling side would continue to suffer even more impactful. Second, people and society lacks a basic human rights towards those who struggles. And third, the real important point is when people continue to view them as a strong individual that can help themselves, the actual help that they needed from those who should be responsible is gone. For example, when the society saw someone who struggles to find a job in this economy, and because of that someone started their own business and now they are able to provide the society with more nuanced job field that the government failed to do in the current status quo. Then after that, they will continue to view this as a meaningful life stories about someone's struggle that eventually brought solution to people at the end of the day. That way then, the government would not address the issue in this story. Yes, and to address this issue is to provide a more job field to the citizens, because they thought if there are not enough job field outside, they won't have the responsible to open more sectors because an actual citizen will provide it for everyone, making the government's job easier. The government thought that they don't need to help them, which had been provided with their endurance and strength to survive on their own. The opposition might argue that with the way people keep supporting them who struggles is how we try to keep their emotions stable and not letting them down furthermore to giving up. However, our side firmly disagree because with that, what's the point of support when you're not doing anything at all? The people needs an actual help, not just reassuring words. Ladies and gentlemen, instead of glorifying our resilience, we must do three things that is more impactful to the society. Firstly, is to address the real issue. When we focus the cause of it, we think about the problem in a different perspective. We actually help them because we know what they actually needed and why is the cause of their struggles. Secondly, focus on helping those who need it instead of praising them for managing to stand up for themselves. The reason why they're standing up for themselves is because they have no one. They have no actual people to help them with their problem. And that is why we need to address it and focus ourselves on helping them. Thirdly, the government needs to be more sensitive towards the issues nationally to be more useful for once to help them who need it, because the government's place here is very crucial. They're the one who control our system. They're the one who provide us with everything that we needed. So their position here is very crucial to help them. In conclusion, glorification of resilience is a real issue that is currently lacks of empathy and sympathy towards the society. When we glorify, we forget the humanity that we should have been showing in the first place. We should shift our attention to the cause instead of how the people endure it, and that how we try to keep them in their faith, and that we try to keep them to a better life. Instead of just doing that, we have to actually help them who needed it, and that we have to be more sensitive towards the issues to be more useful towards the one who needed it. And that is why I am proud to propose